So let's say you win in November, and
I like Transit.
what would you want to be like your legacy item, or what people think of you as?
That's a good one. You know what? I would love it. One of the things I talk about when I'm on the stump is that New York City residents have a third the carbon footprint of Seattleites. Not Seattleites, of the average American. And it's not because people in New York care about the planet any more than US. It's like I said earlier, it's because that city is set up in such a way that when you live there, you're using less resources. I would love Seattle to be known as a place that's much better than New York to live. It's all the great things that we love about Seattle in its own Seattle way, and by living here, you just know that you're doing the right thing. You're not adding, you're not counting calories, you're not counting CO2 pounds, you're not worried too much about light bulbs and how tuned up your Prius is. You just live in Seattle and have fun, and by doing that, you're doing the right thing, and we can do that. I mean, we know, we've seen cities where this happens, and we can figure out our own Seattle way. We got plenty of creative people to do it. We just have to have the political will to say, this is what we want to do. This is where we're going to spend our money. This is where we're going to invest our resources, and have a plan to get there. And every investment is taking us towards that goal. I'd love to be able, my kids, 20 years from now, to say, Dad, you were a part of that. That was really cool. Way to go.
There's been an issue that's out there, and I know you addressed it before, but wanted to ask about it.
Oh, me? Yeah, I do have a question. So during the Roads and Transit campaign, you and the Sierra Club were very opposed to it, which is ultimately, a great thing about Sound Transit too. And in the meantime, and during the campaign, I think a lot of the environmental community felt really alienated and were kind of ticked off at the Sierra Club. And I'm just wondering if you could speak to that a little bit and talk about kind of your leadership style and maybe hopefully your ability to build coalitions and not make the other side mad all the time.
Actually, I would look at that as an example of what I thought was a really, that's the model of how I would operate. I know that in the blogs and stuff, I see stuff periodically about how Sierra Club's these wacky guys that throw bombs. But the people I debated with, for months on end were Rob Johnson and Justin Farrell, TCC folks. They were the ones that were the face of the Yes campaign from the environmental community. And, I'd love it if you would ask the question of Rob and Justin about how that went. It was tense at times for sure. But every time I sat down with Rob and had a debate in front of the public, I said, you know what? I agree with Rob on 99% of the things. And right now, we're working together on projects that we care about. And on November 4th, no matter who wins, we're going to be back together working together to make sure the roads, if they pass, are going to be as good as possible. And if it fails, that we get Sound Transit back. And we did. And I have, I think, a great relationship with Rob. Justin left after a while, but I think I had a really good relationship with Justin. So, the people I was working with and debating with, even I had to sue Sound Transit twice. Well, I sued Sound Transit twice. And I was sitting down the week after that election working with Sound Transit saying, how do we do this? Let's get you guys back. And we went out and lobbied the board. So I think some of that's a little mischaracterized. I think maybe some people that were maybe one or two steps removed from the process felt that it was tense. But I honestly think that, I'm proud of what we did. We had a different mission for sure than other organizations, specifically TCC. Our mission was not to get light rail. Our mission was, and is today as a Sierra Club, to reduce our impacts on climate change. And when we looked at that package, it was clear that that was not the climate change deal. Now, if your mission was, we want more light rail, that's a different equation, but that was not our equation. There are certainly people within the Sierra Club who love light rail, but we said this is really about climate change. And so, some people even say it was really risky what we did, but it's like, if our goal was to not make climate change worse, it wasn't risky at all. Because even if we didn't get Sound Transit back, we're probably better off. That said, I quit my job a year ago because it looked like lobbying the board of Sound Transit was going to take a lot of time, and it was important. I told friends, I told myself, I told perfect strangers that I would do everything I could to get Sound Transit back. And I'm pleased that it came back, and I'm more pleased that it passed. So I think what the city needs more of, actually, is people having a respectful but honest public dialogue about these things. as opposed to what I think happens too often in the city is some people go into a room and after however long they emerge and they say, we've decided what's best for you. And you talk to them one-on-one and in confidence they'll tell you, well, I don't really agree with it, but I agree that I would stand up on the podium and nod and say this is the right thing for Seattle. And it's like, I want to see the debate that's going on. How did you decide what's best for us? Let us decide these things. Let us see the process at least so we have some respect for how it's going. Because the trades that happen, the trades that happened in the roads and transit, that's not a trade that benefited the people in Seattle. We didn't want that. And the Sierra Club was very upfront about that. I mean, that legislation passed at the end of 2006, and our lobbyist was in the governor's office as soon as he heard about it and said, you guys have to understand that you cannot count on Sierra Club support just because there's going to be light rail in this package. That's not how we're going to analyze this. And we were upfront with everybody who wanted to know from the very beginning that we had big concerns. So I think that kind of honesty and public dialogue is refreshing to the city. And I think the thing that's kind of intriguing is that Sierra Club went out there and went against all these people, and you know what? We're still here. We didn't get kicked out. I'm still here. In fact, I'm stronger because of it.
You're getting their endorsement.
Yeah. And so, I hope that it's a model for how we can do things in the city that will give us better results. And I hope other people say, you know what, it's okay to disagree. I joke that I have lots of disagreements in my house and I still sleep in the same bed with my wife. But, we all figure this stuff out in our life. Why can't we do it in politics? Why can't we disagree, agree to disagree, have debates, and you win some, you lose some, you move on, you keep working towards a vision.